So you didn't know that they're going to do a remake for The Last of Us?
I did not hear. I knew they were making a TV show, and I'd kind of written off Last of Us. I don't even give a shit if they're making a Last of Us 3 at this point, unless they're like, Last of Us 2 was a dream. Here you go. Here's your new Last of Us 3.
Yeah. Even if, like, well, 2 was controversial, but it was still successful. Even if it was universally praised, the way they ended it, or even compared, like, the first one, it's like, you're going to need a hot minute to kind of revamp and come up with something new because of the way that was ended. Yeah. So, in the meantime, Sony just wanted something Last of Us. The initial... Now, most of this comes from Jason Schreier, who's the big undercover guy. The developers will give him all kinds of inner stories and stuff like that. And so this is...
He's the Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, well, a little bit better than Dave Meltzer. Meltzer ain't shit.
He makes up shit.
He's the one damn journalist is what it is. And so he came up with... there was like a team about 30. I think they call it a visual group or some shit. What a exciting development studio name. But they were working at Sony. They were kind of wanting to stay independent and do their own thing. And then the Sony brass was pushing them around to do shit. And one of the things that came out was they were working on a Last of Us remake, and they were literally doing, like, not just a remaster, they were talking about a new engine and everything.
Like, all new?
Yeah. I doubt that they would redo the, well, no, it's possible, but I doubt that they would redo, like, the cutscenes and shit. They would update the graphics or some shit, but the acting and stuff would probably still be the same. They started this in, like, 2019. And so, the game's like freaking 6 or 7 years old. I'm going to remake that motherfucker.
I just don't see a point. I mean, I get it. It was popular and it was great, but I mean, like we've already had the HD remaster at this point. Was
60 frames and ran good, and it was an early PS4 game. So a lot of people got the PS4 when they didn't have the 3, and so.
That was me. I didn't bother. I didn't play it until it was on the 4. And it was one of the first games, because it was the one game that I was like, I really would like to play this. So I ended up getting it when I got a 4 and playing it on it.
So people would discover Uncharted, and then the version of Uncharted 1, including with the Nathan Drake collection, is like much better.
Yeah.
As far as gameplay, because the first Uncharted is actually a bad game. But you got that. You had a lot of people who were pissed off, justly so, at Xbox, and then how Xbox was just putting out fucking Halo, Gears, and Forza. And
they got the DRM and the constant internet connection and all that
the
shit.
Connect, all of that crap, and TV. You can play TV on your TV, and so they got the PS4, and they played it literally in 2014 or 15. It's when they played the Last of Us.
Yeah.
But the remake did really good. All of those remasters or some shit, because the PS3 was not backwards compatible. So we're going to release Tomb Raider and all this stuff like that. Tomb Raider came out in 2013. A couple months later, Grand Theft Auto came out, which was a much bigger deal, which also was remastered. And so it has this sort of history of legacies of these remasters or redoing things. Demon Souls is, of course, another big one, because hell, that's probably their biggest. I'm sure Spider-Man sold the most, but as far as actual thing that you could only play on PS5, well, even then, it's still just a remake of Demon Souls, which is a PS3 game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a complicated convolution of re-releasing the same shit again.
Just recycling.
The reason was pretty easy. Sales. It's going to do $1 million plus, and you're going to sell a bunch of shit. And so we're going to redo the game again. And another game that they were thinking about working on was remaking of Uncharted 1.
I could see that, because it has been a minute.
Yeah.
And
I think that's around 2008 or 9 or some shit like that. And it took forever because PS3 was starving for fucking games by the time Uncharted came out. I think it came out for fall one year. And then it was finally they had something, because up to the end, as far as first party, it wasn't doing too hot. Of course, it took forever for fucking Gran Turismo to come out. It took forever. Resistance was a big game, but the the brass were pretty much speaking pretty clear that they want the guaranteed, the big budget. We're going in big. We're going to close down our Japanese studios. One of the things going around that was like this year in Japan, as far as home console sales, is that Switch has 99%.
Yeah, it's like almost all.
Yeah, and a lot of that is the Switch is also a portable system, and so that's a big portable company. I mean, Japan's big portable, but Sony's been thrown out essentially of their own country as far as big things. Is like, and the Japanese aren't particularly interested in the latest big Spider-Man game or anything like that. But it's kind of led to Sony we're just going to put all of our chickens in just about 5 or 6 big franchises, and then that's our lineup. And they've been getting rid of sort of Sony Studio Japan. I think that the ponies are really going to be pissed off when I say this. I think the Polyphony Digital, which is these Gran Turismo guys, I know this sport sold something. It sold to people who was desperate. But that isn't nothing compared to Forza, and it's nowhere prolific, and it takes them for fucking ever. Just like they would say, "Oh, we're going to get out GT7 in a reasonable." No, the fuck you ain't.
No,
you ain't getting that shit out.
They really dropped the ball with like what was it, 5 when they released that Prologue 5 or whatever.
$40 fucking dollars.
It wasn't even a full fuck. It wasn't even close to a full. It was basically a demo.
Yeah, it was like
for like $40.
And Metal Gear Solid 5 did the same thing, but it's just they can't get their shit out in a reasonable time. The budgets in these games have ballooned to the point where you need literally to have. It's beyond what most Japanese studios can handle, and so it's like you have to have this big, huge, overarching plan. Like it's a big, sluggish process. It takes a long time for these games to come out, and of course you might have your Anthem or freaking Fallout 76 freaking Disaster Fest too, or Cyberpunk. But Sony's had a lot of success. Freaking games like Horizon Zero Dawn, I still think that's one of the best looking games I've seen, and I played it on PS4. I didn't. It's on PC now, but
yeah.
But they've kind of put themselves into a situation where I don't know if they need to have, because you have independent games, but they're just going to be literally the same about 4 or 5 fucking things.
It's going to be the same shit over and over again. To the point of like, this feels like a damn expansion of the last one.
Yeah.
You know?
And I just it ain't speaking to me.
They just need to start doing like Gran Turismo 2K21, Gran Turismo 2K22,
which is an ongoing thing.
That's just every fucking year.
The next Forza game's literally just called Forza. That's clearly what they're intending to do. But I don't. Last of Us does not need to be remade. Just like Resident Evil 4 does not need to be remade. Get it again because
I didn't think
money.
There was really a need for a Resident Evil 4 remake. And that was like fucking. I mean, it's been around. When did it come out? Like 02? 04?
Yeah.
04, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, it's been almost 20 years now. It doesn't feel like it's been almost 20 years because there's been a fucking port of it on pretty much every goddamn system since. But even then, it's like there's other things that they could, remake if they wanted. They could have remade, Code Veronica, or they could have remade 1 again just to make it.
People are talking about that.
Yeah, just because remake 1 was great, but like it's been a minute since you can make one that's like not the same style, the control style or whatever.
Yeah, the way I see it, for every remake they're doing, that's a new game
that could have been
made.
It's other resources that could have been placed other places.
The thing is like these remakes are guaranteed money, and so I don't know the numbers of Final Fantasy Remake versus 15. Now, of course, that's only on. It's not out for everything else, but once you get it out for PC and Xbox, I would be surprised if the Remake 7 outdoes 15.
Yeah.
Even though 15's a shit fest, but it actually had positive press. They were tricking people, honestly.
Yeah.
And then, but and of course, comparing Resident Evil 7 to Resident Evil 2 Remake, I'm almost positive that 2 Remake is out. So I don't know off the top of my head, but it definitely had more hype and talk about it. and
it lasted a little bit longer as far as like the hype about it. Unlike 3, where 3's remake was kind of like it was here and gone. Like
it was their first major fuck up.
Yeah, they fucked up, and it didn't like it was bargain bin pretty damn quick.
But I mean, I kind of frustrated. At the same time, I'm almost like, well, I probably should just walk away, Sony, and then just wait till it if they have something I want to play, wait till it hits the PC or just borrow it. I dang sure want to play the next Horizon game, but I have a PS4. It's gonna be on PS4 whenever the fuck it comes out. I can just play it on that.
If the PS4 still works.
Yeah. Speaking of the Comos battery, that is on. What's happening is there's a little battery that saves your settings in your PlayStations and on most systems, honestly. What's happening is that if this battery dies, like even your physical games do not work until you replace the battery and log onto the network. Because the worry is like when they're closing all of these stores and shit like that, there's not going to be a network there. I think that Sony will fix that for. It's on PS5. If you take the battery out, you have to re-sign on to get to access to your shit. But it's not just digital games; it's physical games. This shouldn't be a problem, but it is, and hopefully they'll go back and quit being lazy fucks. Do a PS3 update, make it so that your battery, you don't need to log on to your store to get your digital shit. I don't know. It seems like when you're closing these stores, there's something missing, and the something missing is them having your damn PS5 play that shit.
Yeah.
Move all this stuff over to one store. And just be done with it. And, even if your store's largely forgotten, like a lot of 360 games, they don't put them on sale or they don't change the price down. But they're still there, and you can just buy them. And then your updates are there. There's, let me zoom out of here. Where's my freaking mouse at? God dang, when you have two monitors. When they started closing down some of these stores, so the PS3 store, they haven't even done it yet. They're getting the process to it. When they started the process of doing it, actual games started to not be able to take updates or not being able to play them. And they're having to go, and it would be region specific, but there was like tons and tons of them. I'm just going to scroll through them here. You got Lords of Shadow, which runs, it was designed for PS3 as opposed to Xbox. It runs better on there. Dead Nation was a big Sony game. It says they're patching them back in, but the digital version and well, hell, that's a digital game, if I remember right. I remember if it's like a twin stick shooter. And the European version didn't work. There was some bigger. You got Far Cry 3 for the FIFAs. I kind of understand because EA themselves would just abandon those.
Yeah,
fucking
they would
games.
just abandon it as soon as the new one came out.
But you're in a Gran Turismo in Europe, where that's one of the hottest sections for that. They've put it back on, but it says the game's gonna. These people are like gonna leave it on the list till it's like completely good. But it was like we took off your ability to get updates for Gran Turismo. I understand maybe closing down
the full download. you know.
Well, no, the Gran Turismo, did that even, I don't know if it even had online. I understand maybe closing down the servers for online.
Yeah.
But you should be able to stay and play the game. And so you have HD remixes like Jet Set Radio that was fucked up, but they're fixing them up. So then you got literally Little Big Planet 2, a big ass first party Sony game that is not working correctly in Japan or Australia version. It's bizarre. Now Marvel's Capcom understand. They might be allowed.
That's where it gets
if it requires a patch, they might not even be allowed to patch it because they would have to buy the Alliance to do that. So I mean, Mortal Kombat is only on the old consoles. But they're putting it back in. But just saying, it's like if we had Castlevania HD, if we were on Sony at the time, we would have to log on our PS3s and play it. They don't go forward. So, like Castlevania HD literally had a patch for Series X. Not an enhancement, but just a patch to make it work. Yeah. And it's fucking bizarre that Sony's kind of put themselves in this situation. What Jim Ryan he's using the metrics, just like Xbox One did back in the day. On Xbox One, they looked and seen that more people were playing Netflix. They're playing Netflix and actually playing games. And they were like,
they're loading the Netflix app.
well, the Xbox needs to be the one place to play all of your multimedia. That's what I think it's why it's called the One.
Yeah.
And so that's when we're going to be able to play TV on your TV, man. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be amazing. And people's like, what about the goddamn games?
Yeah.
And they showed the games literally a month later at E3. It was all games pretty much. But the damage was done by then. Done. And so when Jim Ryan comes up here and says, well, no one's actually playing this old shit. First of all, if you don't have PS5 games, so I guarantee you they're playing
old shit.
They're playing old shit. They're playing PS4 games. But he got out there and he said some famously stupid things about...
why would anybody want to play Gran Turismo 3 or 4?
Or 1. And... you know what? Those games, if they look like shit, it's because they looked like shit back when they came out.
Yeah.
They don't... Ancient's kind of one of those eyes of the beholder. Tons of people play retro shit. And never mind if it has a, freaking standard definition. If it's in 4:3, and it could be in high definition and in 16:9, that's literally because you guys did not patch it or did not remaster it to try to sell you the same game you already own. Because... I played through Ninja Goddamn Black last year. It looks fucking great on Xbox One. And that's not even 4K enhanced. I didn't have that. There's no... in this game right here, I'm playing it on Xbox One. I got hardcore uprising. If you're on the video side of things on YouTube, you see that. And shit works great. No load time. It's been enhanced. 1 frame extra lag or whatever the hell it is. It's like, that's the way to play this shit these days, especially with games like this. You had you always had your crappy cross pads on 360.
Yep.
And you've been upgraded, and damn sure them shitty DualShock 2 or 3 or even 1 is nowhere near as good as the PS4 controller, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And all of this shit carries forward, but it's one of those things where Xbox is clearly differentiated themselves from what Sony's doing, and Sony's kind of get their fucking act together, because if they just abandon PS3 all the way, and they pretty much did for Vita.
They did for Vita. It's gone. So I mean,
yeah, they don't even mention that exists. Vita's going to be it probably already is a hell of a collector's item, because you had all of those
limited release games,
or they did it one time, and they're Japanese RPGs, which is, people want to get them shits. Freaking them Neptuna games were Vita first, and I'm sure they'd be expensive as fuck. Hell, I was trying to get, I think I wanted Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 or something back in the day, or Black, and it was retarded expensive. I had to end up... I ordered it from GameStop, which hadn't adjusted their prices yet, and I had to go.
They hadn't figured out that it got boosted up.
Yeah, and I had to go. Of course, they're so stupid. They wouldn't send it to my house. They sent it to my local store, and I had to go get it from my local store. And it's like, you have 2 weeks to get this. I'm like, what the fuck? You're not going to freaking just, I bought this damn thing. You're just going to let the store sell it?
It's just the stores are like, we're going to resell this.
But I don't think it's out of the question for... well, first of all, if Jim Ryan's down, people are negative as fuck against him. So he's going to be cast off sooner or later at the way he's going. Even the big promotion companies like IGN are doing, kind of hit pieces against this shit, because you do not need a remake of Last of Us. People see plain as day that this is arrogant fuck up Sony from back in the day. You got to bring that shit back. Can't never go more than Generation 2 without being screw ups. Never mind. I bet you there's a little hostility because people could play PS3 games for free. Yeah. Because you don't have to pay plus for them. You can't add that shit in there because people's gonna be mad. The way Microsoft tried to add, get rid of Xbox Live essentially. Yeah. The sub for Xbox Live to make you get Game Pass. They tried to get rid of that. It lasted a day.
That lasted
a fucking
day. They were like, motherfucker, I gotta buy the Game Pass to play co-op fucking damn Far Cry 5? Fuck no.
Or Fortnite. And I was telling Drew, is like, if y'all had kept bitching a little bit more, y'all would have had it where you don't need Xbox Live to play, because you need Xbox Live for Netflix. I don't know if you knew that.
I know that you did for a minute, and I thought they got rid of it. But maybe
nope,
they didn't.
nope. It's still on there, and so he has he's got multiple Xboxes. And it's like you could just. I'm pretty sure if you just sign on to you get to sign off out and in the living room, sign on in the other one in another room, and then get it. But
And you think about when he made the comment of like, well, everybody they're loading Netflix more than they're loading games. It's like they didn't think about it at the time, but when that study was done, I'm sure that was like pre-Roku being really big, and like, what else were you going to load up Netflix on? Because smart TVs were very young at that point, so they didn't have built-in like Netflix on everything. And it's like, yeah, you can watch it on your TV as opposed to your computer at that time. Of course, that's why it was getting loaded so much.
Yeah, and that's where I watched my first Netflix stuff. I was out sick or something, and I'm like, you know what? I want to watch Night of the Living Dead or Ben-Hur. I knew those fuckers would be like open free, and so they were on there. When they first came out, it was just like the free movie kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Hell, I bet you if you went there now, they might not even have that shit. But
it might be on YouTube with ads.
Yeah,
YouTube with ads has got all their movies and shit on there now.
Yeah, but they're fucking up at the Sony world. Never minded it. I think that PS5 it needs some down. They just had its first big update. They needed a lot more updates. You can't do 1440p on it. You cannot do it at all.
That's weird.
Yeah. It only goes 4K or 1080.
So there's no in the middle.
Yeah, then there's no reason why it can't. They just have not patched that shit in. And of course, you can't get access to your M2. The story now goes is that the M2 expansion slot. The story goes is that they're worried it's going to overheat because they do crank out some heat. Those M2s do, and so you're going to put that thing in your big stupid. I don't. It looks like a church. Damn Citadel, freaking damn.
It's a synagogue.
It looks like yeah. They're going to have to.
Well, they didn't want it to look like a VCR or a refrigerator, so I guess they were like, we have to make it look like this.
Have to make it look goofy as fuck. But put that thing in there and melt that fucker down. So the reason why Xbox did that big cube thing was so they could put the big boy fan at the top.
Right in the top of it.
Because one of the things that people never think about when they get their nice PCs is like you need cooling to run all of that hot shit.
Ventilation.
Yeah, and so Sony's worried about that. But there's lots of reports of them crashing anyway. It's something that, PS3 released in a bad state like that too. Like you would put your damn Bluetooth controller in, shitty ass laggy Bluetooth controller, and then it would just lose its fucking signal, or it would have the PS3 had a huge problem with its little HDCP, the HDMI little anti-piracy thing. Yep. It just fuck up. You're playing the game. And your controller is being taken from you, just randomly starts doing shit, or your shit just starts blinking off. And they got better, they fixed it, and I'm sure that's where it is. But the difference was Xbox literally used the same fucking interface. They didn't even give a fuck. They've done the Xbox One interface so many times, and they're never been great. But it's literally the same freaking thing. You log in, it's a little bit more responsive, and it's all there and ready. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I think that they can recover from this to get rid of Gem Ryan. You bring back backwards compatibility. There's nothing that can't do very fast. Now, they can't, as far as Game Pass, the way they're got their shit set up, they're not going to be able to put your Last of Us's or Uncharted's day one on a sub fee. They're just not going to do that. And that's where another place where I think Mr. Phil Spencer's got them kind of by the balls there, because Game Pass is clearly hasn't been answered to. PS Plus sucks.
It was just hard. How do you beat that without just doing the exact same thing?
Yeah, they could, but the big thing, of course, is still not that there's subs and a lot of free. It's the fact that you're going to when the next Gears or Halo comes out, it's there on Game Pass. It's there ready to play. And then a lot of where they're spending their exclusive money is to get those games early, so you can get Outriders, which just came out for Sony. You can get it, but it's on Game Pass. And of course, the big one is NBL show. I don't know if you knew about that. Yeah. Sony makes it, okay? MLB publishes it, and then MLB let Microsoft Game Pass at day one. So the Sony exclusive game, you have to pay $70 on PlayStation. It's part of your sub on Xbox, and it's like, I know why you did that. I know why you guys did it. And this word on the street is that Ubisoft's going to do that too. And if you pay, it's $15 for Ubisoft. But they'll give you the digital super edition of Ass Creed or whatever the hell it is, Far Cry, whatever it is. And I know you're a Far Cry fan. When it comes out, consider just renting that shit from Ubisoft for $15.
You just freaking Game Pass that shit.
Yeah. It's rumored that they're going to come to Game Pass. I thought that the EA one is a little limited, but Rogue game's on there.
Yeah.
About 6 months afterward, it looks like they're going to put their shit. So, Mass Effect is going to come out this year. I have to wait 6 months, and it'll be on the Game Pass. And so, I'm like, fuck, that's what I'm going to do. Although, hell, if I was playing Mass Effect, I'd probably play the original ones, which they're all on there, too, because they're part of the EA play thing.
They're already on there.
And it's like, if you just buy into these other guys, EA was only $5 anyway, so they've managed to get, I don't know. And a lot of times what happens in these Game Pass games is that if people really like them, they end up buying them anyway. And so the sales go up. And that goes for giving away games with gold as well. Yeah, it's one of those things where Sony's got to answer to that. Their answer was literally, "Oh, here's the Avengers. We're going to put it on PS Now, but it's going to be the PS4 version. When the PS5 version, I mean, if you had the actual disc or whatever, the PS5 version is all enhanced as shit. But we're going to give you the 4 version, and the same for Borderlands 3. I'm like, y'all guys are you're dumbasses, man.
Nobody gives a shit.
And never mind that. Fuck cloud gaming. Period, man. Fuck it. I hate cloud gaming. I've never even played much more than just inkling bits of it. I'm like, this is shit.
The infrastructure is not there.
I played Street Fighter Alpha 3 on PS3, coming through PSP, I believe. Or it might have been Vita. I think it was PSP. I'm like, this is shit. And it's not like Wii U or Switch. Well, no, Wii U would be the example because your system's different. It's clearly streaming to that little gamepad thing.
Yeah.
You can't tell it. You can't tell it's online. You can't tell it's streaming. It's fucking just might as well be the same speed. But with that fucking PSP thing I had, or Vita, whatever the fuck it was, I'm sitting there right next to the damn PS3, and it's like, this is playing like shit balls. It's like, this is what you say? I guess you could leave your PS3 on at the house, and then you could take your PSP out in the wild, or Vita, whatever the fuck it was, and then, play literally just a dating sim or a visual novel on that shit. Something where you have no speed at all.
Yep. Play your old turn-based RPGs.
It's crap. But that's where I think the state of Sony is. Those Japanese games are going to Switch and PC, and so where it's just going to leave largely Sony with just their Western big games. It's the thing that's different, and of course they're putting those on PC too. They're just years later. I'm still waiting for Bloodborne on PC, man. I'll play through it again if it goes on PC. I'll pay $60 for that too, even though that game's old. Gotta get my Bloodborne on.
Yep.
But I ain't hyped for what they're doing. I don't give a shit about Last of Us Remake. And honestly, 3's going to be. I'll be amused.
Yeah, I'll be amused. That'd be about it. I mean, how can they have a 3 when Ellie's only got 3 fingers? That'll be the screen. It'll be her holding up the 3 fingers. She'll be like, that'll be the freaking thing.
It's like, I don't know, man. Hell, it ain't no much point. You can't get one anyway. You can't get the fucking system if you want it.
Well, by the time 3 comes out, they'll be like, oh, baby, it's like, here's your PS5.X.
Yeah. any kind of thing they have with the shit overheating, I'm sure they'll fix in some kind of revision. But
maybe they should have went back to that original style of where it looked like a pizza oven thing or something. It's like maybe that would have been. I thought it was weird.
That looked cool, man.
It actually did. I was kind of like, I get it why it looks different, because I'm sure a lot of it is we don't want it to look like Xbox One where it's like a freaking VCR / refrigerator for the Series X. But if it's inefficient at cooling,
those dev consoles, they look cool with that kind of crazy V, or it's almost like an A the way it's pointed towards you.
You slide your piece of pizza right there, so when it overheats, it's warm.
Yeah. I'm almost to the point where a lot of people even should care about what their console looks. It should fit in the damn. Well, the PS5 does not fit in those. I don't know what the hell those things are called right there.
Little covers, man, but the damn thing is like this goddamn big.
There's like a standard size little box type thing, and then you'll have an aisle of it on Target. This is literally just for furniture and shit. It has a standard size fucking box.
It's 1 foot square.
It's 1 foot square is what it is?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think the PS5 is 14 inches.
Yeah.
So it does not fit in those standard cubby holes.
What if you turn it diagonal?
You just have that shit diagonal. Make sure you get the digital one so your disc doesn't fucking explode. But hell, you could just hide that some bitch behind your TV or whatever it is if you've got TV on a sitting on the setup and it's not on the wall. But you know, it's they're all wireless anyway, so you could just put them fuckers almost anywhere you need to, as long as you get the cables to the PC. I mean, on the TV. But it already needs a damn revision. So
yeah, already clearly.
We'll see. It ain't gonna be a slim, or if they'll try a slim, that's so much it's gonna be even hotter.
It'll be like this one definitely does not come with a CD drive. That'll probably be their next one.
Yeah.
Like no disc drive at all.
Pissed off people who bought disc.
Yep. Because they'll be like, oh, we're just going to get rid of that.
Because otherwise, you'd literally have to think anytime you do a slim, you have to do two originals. You would do a digital only and a disc one to keep the disc going forward. I don't know. Xbox, Phil Spencer said there will always be a disc thing, so you can take your original Xbox disc and put it in there. I'm just...
At this point, you're already downloading a fucking patch. It's going to be 40 gigabytes. What does it matter anymore?
There's CD keys. I was telling Drew about that the other day. It's like, well, if you had to get your MLB. By the way, he pre-ordered it and then they threw it on Game Pass. I was like, you gonna get a Game Pass? Like, no. It'll be on Game Pass long enough where that that roster won't make a difference anymore. Might as well just gone. A lot of it's, I think, just to order the shiny and either have the anticipation for it to come in or to go out into the store and get it. That is a legit thing. Yeah.
Request for it, and then you could also trade it in.
Yeah, you could trade it,
or sell it, or whatever.
Most people do not think about, well, I can flip this motherfucker on eBay and make, 40, only lose like $20 out of it or something. Yeah. You can flip it in eBay, beat it in a week, flip it on eBay, and then boom, and have most of your money back.
Mine is more of I will buy it and I will beat it, and then it'll go sitting on the shelf. And then I'll forget about it for a year or two.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I guess I could have sold this one. It actually still is worth more than $2. But I just don't ever think about
it. Or the shelf itself, having that something that's in your house.
It's pretty.
Like, it looks good.
Just something to look at.
It's like, this is your legit actual games, and people will come over and they'll naturally go through and see, and then you can tell them the story about this, which is more interesting. Although you can. On Steam, you can look at your friends list, which we do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do all the time. It's like, oh, what's Brian been playing right now?
Why you got 60 hours in this dating sim?
Why you got this FAP simulator, huh? I like putting this shit on my wish list. There's one, it's literally called Fap Queen. It's free. Go put it on a wish list anyway.
Yeah, just so people will see it.
Yeah, your waifu dating simulator. But there's something to say about the physical media, but when it actually comes time to play that motherfucker, you put that shit in your disc. It's nothing but a CD key. That's all exactly. That shit is.
That's all. I mean, it's like, even with like, day one releases, it's like you put it in there and it copies over whatever's on the disc, but then it's like downloading 40 gigabyte patch, and it's like, that's the fucking game right there at that point.
Bloodstained, because I got the Kickstarter version, so I ended up getting the I would thought that the disc was going to be limited. I think it ended up at GameStop anyway. But 800 megabytes is what that shit was. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was 1 gigabyte. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, bullshit. That's not even the fucking damn.
That's the install disc, is what that is. It's the fucking Diablo 2 install disc. We're gonna go to the network to get the rest of it.
Yeah, that shit ain't even the damn opening movie. To get you started while you're installing the damn thing, it's like they're just CD keys.
It's the title screen is what it is, with the options in it. And as soon as you hit like start, it automatically goes.
Starts loading.
Yeah,
I've seen some games have done good. Where as you're I'm thinking about the Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 on PS3. As you're installing it, it gives you like this kind of cool comic book type story. Gives you like the background and all that stuff about Ryu's dad and all that shit. Stuff like that's cool, but how many of them actually do that?
Yeah.
And never mind if you're doing that, you don't know. Some motherfucker might have a damn M2. He might have a badass internet collection, and you get it like with shit where they'll tell you tips on the load screen, but your M2 so fast
that it's like it's already done.
You don't know what the tips are because they don't give you a freaking manual in their book either.
Nope.
No manual book. When you open that thing, you get the disc and you get the back of the disc.
Yep.
On the case where you can see the sleeve.
I remember like renting Nintendo games back in the day, and you'd be like, "Does this have a manual with it?" And I don't know if the one down here did it, but like certain ones, they would Xerox out the manual, and you'd be like, "If it ain't got a fucking manual with it," you'd be like, you would actually think about it. Do I want to rent this? Maybe I won't know what the hell's going on.
Yep. No manual. They'd be like, look that shit up on your fucking smartphone, your controls, or we'll give you a tutorial that isn't going to really tell you the most basic shit. Yeah. And then so it's like, well. The point of getting those discs would be literally the collector's thing of the disc. So certain games are going to have the limited release, and they're going to be a collector's item, or just a one-time print. And most of those are going to be the Japanese RPG types. And then, or if you get the collector's edition, they might give you some cool art books or some shit.
Yeah.
A fucking CD. You gonna hand me a CD with music on it? Did I have to rip myself? Fuck you. Put that shit on Spotify.
How am I gonna play this shit?
Yeah, pretty much.
You ain't got a fucking CD player in my car no more.
Or you get the Goofy statue.
Yep, the Goofy statue.
Or it's going to come with the fucking Infinity Gauntlet. It's going to cost like $200. Or the Fallout mask where you wear your helmet on and get the
while you're playing.
Yeah, while you're playing,
you get the Pip-Boy and shit on your arm.
Your Pip-Boy on your arm, and you get mode if you get the GameStop, or else you get mode sickness. But yeah,
nothing beats the Saints Row Special Edition. Came with like a fucking like Lamborghini or some shit. You remember that? It was like $1 million.
I thought that they was going to fly you to the moon.
They were going to fly you to fucking
outer space.
I think they were going to fly you to like outer space on like one of the Virgin Airline things, where they just go outside the atmosphere. I think you got that, a fucking Lamborghini, and like some other stupid shit, and it was like $1 million or something. It was like.
Or I thought it wasn't in like Leon's jacket, or it's like $1,400 or some stupid shit like that.
And then it would have been just a cheap vinyl fucking damn bullshit jacket. It's like,
was it worn by Leon himself in the game?
Leon wiped his ass with this jacket like for 5 seconds. No, they just had a stack of jackets for the voice actor, like put them on and took them off, put them on, took them off, so you can say like wore them.
It's the Belle Daphne used bath water.
Yep.
Except for Leon.
This is a lock of Leon's hair.
It's come straight from the butt cut, guys.
Yep.
It's freaking amazing.
That's what they need to do in the next Resident Evil. They'll have Leon, but have him have like a bow, like a freaking.
He's gonna have a new haircut. People are gonna freak out.
It's gonna be a damn military buzz cut, and they're gonna be like, "Not my Leon." #. It's like
you're gonna have to buy the DLC to get
haircut.
to the retro dude.
He'll have one of those spiky, like cloud haircuts, and then shit will just fucking hit the fan.
Yeah, people, maybe 20 years from now, these CDs will be worth something, but even then, I doubt it. Because one thing, they're not going to fucking work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like, they ain't gonna be, you put them in the console and be like, well, there's no server to get the patch for, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's jailbreaking, man. Jailbreaking at the yin yang. I'm hearing that even the new Monster Hunter has already been on the Switch emulator. So it's almost like back in the day when your console is so out of date, your emulator is going to be able to run that shit almost day one. So it's like, oh man, it's 1998. I'm playing King of Fighters 98 on my computer with Windows 98.
With Windows 98 and Neo Geo X or whatever it was.
And it had the freaking like 40-minute damn load time on it because it's loading, I guess, the entire dang thing. It's redrawing it one frame at a time. But I just, one of the stories is just don't get your new console unless if there's something that you absolutely gotta fucking have, then get your console. But I'm saying if you ain't a big Dark Souls fan or like a super Spider-Man fan, I just don't see a point of having a PlayStation right now. Maybe this fall. But he just needs some couple of tweaks right now. He needs some patches to get the image. You need the fucking M2 driver to work, and hopefully it doesn't burn your damn thing. You need they still don't have a list of.
It needs to warm the pizza, not burn the pizza.
They still don't have a list of what things are going to work with it. Everybody thought that the M2 Samsung 9800 Pro Evo, whatever the fuck it was going to work for it. Of course, they're talking so much shit about how great theirs is, and I'm like, you're full of crap. Is what you are. Because you just needed something, your new blast processing to differentiate from the Series X, because the Series X had bigger shit in it. That's what it was. But hey, man, we'll be there. I can still see myself potentially owning one, but right now I just have to give up on it. I fucking this guy is on Switch, and hell, I don't even think that this guy seems like some mobile shit right now, honestly. But I don't know, man. It's just what was. So you didn't have a 3? You didn't have a PS3?
I've had one at various times, but I was never a big user of it.
What was your favorite Sony game?
Last of Us, probably.
Last of Us?
Yeah. I like it, and I didn't play it until I had a 4. I think I bought it when I had a 3, because I had a 3 a couple of times, like flipping and trading and selling and whatnot. And I remember I bought it for a 3. I never played it, and then when I got a 4, I just ended up buying, I was like, if I'm going to play it, I might as well play the remaster or whatever, So I just did that.
Yeah.
I did love me some Gran Turismo back in the day, though. Back when it was Gran Turismo 3.
3, it looked like real life, dude. The reason I had to get one, because I was the N64, I was the Nintendo kid. Freaking Alpha 2 Gold, Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Yep. On the collection.
EX. And then there was a collection of Street Fighter as well. So
There's 2 of them, because Alpha 2 Gold was on collection 1. Yeah, that was one of the first things ever. I think it was the first thing I ever bought on eBay.
Yeah, because it was hard to get.
Yeah, you couldn't find it.
Of course, then I'm sitting there. I would have a Game Pro and I would just salivate over Alpha 2. Me and you had that shit on Super Nintendo. It sucked.
that was one of those, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should games.
Yeah. Then there was Alpha 3. And then, of course, I was always, although I was like, this Castlevania just doesn't have a bell mod. It don't have a whip in it, but Symphony of the Night. And of course, play Symphony of the Night. Now for Final Fantasy 7 and Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2 was the first one I played. I played on those on PC. 6 months later, Final Fantasy was on PC 7, and so I played it actually. Other than the actual background and music being mid-eye, everything. I
remember it being mid-eye because I thought that was weird.
Other than that, the PC version was superior because it ran at a high frame rate. It had the Voodoo 2 shit on it. That was back when your PC port wasn't almost guaranteed to be superior. You just get this shit like what was it, Super Turbo, whatever the fuck it was for the Dell jazz music.
And when the CD, I remember that it was one of those 99-cent bin items. And I remember you could put the CD in your car and it would play the tracks. You remember?
Yeah.
And so basically the tracks were so long. So if you stretched out a match and that track ended, you just didn't have fucking music for the rest of the goddamn match. It was just because each track was 45 seconds long or whatever or something. So if you had a long, so you'd get to round 2 and there'd be no goddamn music. You'd be like, this is fucked up.
Yeah, but I got it for Street Fighter. Then there was games like freaking Final Fantasy Tactics, which was amazing. And then PS2, there's just almost, you can't even talk about it. But all the Nippon Ichi, the freaking disc guy was not a Metal Gear guy. Especially the early ones would just seem like blah 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 talk simulators. But Virtual Fighter 4 was so much better. I had 3 on Dreamcast. Like, this sucks, but 4 was freaking great. And then, of course, Grand Theft Auto 3 was the big PS2 game.
That's what got me to buy a PS2 back in the day
that
when
was
it came
so
out. I remember coming over
good.
to your place and playing it, and I remember like that weekend, I think I went out and bought one. I was like, "God, dude, this is awesome."
I was not expecting, because I had played the original one.
And it was a DVD player at the time.
Yeah.
Back when DVD players were fucking $200 goddamn dollars, you're like, well, for $2.99, I get a DVD player and a game console.
The definitive reason why I bought a PS2 was actually it had Gauntlet Dark Legacy on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the reason why I bought it. Just forgot about that motherfucker. I think the N64 one, where we could save the power-ups and sell them, ended up being the...
That was the fun one to play, because I would go around getting his... I would get the power up and immediately cut it off just to sell it. It's like, what the fuck was I using the gold for? So other than just being an asshole in the game to everybody, It was fun.
And for the PS3, it was Virtua Fighter 5, because I was a super Tard fan. Like, I would watch every little video that Sega would release, and you're sitting there. They had the arcade almost for a year in Japan. And so I knew it was going to be coming to PS3, and I was fucking hyped. When I walked into the store, and it was just at Target after Christmas, and I'm like, yo, give me that. And then I'll take 3 or 4 controllers. He's like, we got more controllers if you want them. No, man, I only need 4. So I sit there, buy those PS3, the original default PS3 controller, no rumble. Yep. Motherfucker loses signal. Runs like shit. Yep. You plug it manually into the PS3 to not lose your signal. But it played Virtua Fighter 5, of course. 6 months later, it comes out for 360. I stuck with the PS3 version for a little bit. This 360 version is actually better. It looks better. It had a different... and back in that day, there was no online for it.
Yeah.
And so the patch they give you, the version you got was what you got.
Yeah,
and then they had a balance patch that's literally different on the Xbox version, and so it's like...
Can you imagine like going over to somebody's house and be like, I'm good at this, and then you play that and you're like, I fucking suck on this version.
Yeah. They literally had a balance patch and they changed moves around, and of course the Xbox one had online, which was another big thing that and then they didn't go. I don't think they patched it in. But by that time, I was like, man, the PS3 is a big, laggy piece of shit. And so, I still get Disc Gaia for it. Disc Gaia 3 came out pretty early for it. I bought that shit because I was a Blu-ray player, region-free. And so I played a bunch of import games on it. I played Demon Souls before it came out in the West, by a half a year. I already played Demon Souls, but it was stuck at 720p. I'm pissing off about the input lag. I tried to, because I had a 1080p monitor, I tried to play it, and it would look like a little square in the middle. It was like, this is depressing. This is depressing that this motherfucker does not run a game in 1080p at the right resolution, so it has huge input delay. I'm like...
You know what's funny about PS3s also is somebody that's bought and sold a bunch of them over the years. Everybody gives this 360 shit for the red ring of death. Like, oh, they're so unreliable. That old original white one is fucking red ring of death. 99.9% of the time, if I find a fat PS3, it ain't gonna fucking work.
Yeah.
They almost... it's like the only time I'll even bother looking at one is if it's backwards compatible, and most of the time they don't fucking work. If that... at the Slims, the CD drives are almost always gone.
Really?
Yes.
On the PS3 Slim?
The Slim. I have replaced so many CD drives on PS3 Slims. In fact,
now on those, I had to do, and it needed to be the certain drive, if I remember right.
You had to get a certain drive for your certain
sort of Slim as well.
That was on the Slim. The most reliable one that I've come is the Super Slim, the one that had the disc that slid back and forth. Those things are pretty goddamn reliable. Most every one of them I've ever found, I've gotten, like, I'd get them cheap at a flea market and flip them, is like, they would work. But if it was a Super Slim, the drive was almost always shit, and if it was a PS3 fat, it just didn't fucking work.
My Fat Boy launched PS3 3 different times, and I don't remember all the stories. I know that I think 2 of them from the drive. One of them had a movie in it, and I had to ship it to Sony. Sony sent me the movie back.
That was mighty nice of them.
Yeah, I let them know when it had no movie, and I could not get it out. And I'm not dumb. I know I can, if I opened it up and probably leave. But
hey,
you don't want to lose your warranty.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck your warranty up.
Yeah, I know if you would probably put it up, it would be just a regular down drive, and you have the little pin thing you can get in there.
Clip, but you just didn't want to fuck your warranty up, especially if they're going to cover it. You didn't want to fucking do anything to risk it.
Yeah, it's just.
I would have put some like midget amputee porno movie in there just for fun, just to be like somebody's gonna get a kick out of this whenever they open it up.
But it was a Blockbuster rental. I had to tell. I got it checked out with Blockbuster. They said it was okay. They knew it was happening. They weren't going to charge me any late fee for it.
It's like that DVD was $300, sir. Like back in the day, it's like if you had to replace a tape, they'd be like that VHS was $100, and you'd be like, I'll go buy it from Walmart for $9.99 and bring it up here.
Either I had it checked out with them, or I just said, yo, I'm not going to get it back. Just sell it to me. They didn't give me a fuck around for it.
And by that time, Blockbuster was probably kind of getting more lenient about their shit anyway. You remember when they got rid of late fees? They were like,
then your movie's never going to be there. But we got that taken care of. But 3 times, the only thing that's fucked up more. Could you guess? Think about it. What console is even more unreliable than PS3? That I have.
That you have. I mean, trying to think what would be the most piece of shit thing ever. I mean, part of me would think the 360, but
most of my 360 history, so
yeah.
I went through one. The original Xbox.
That's right.
Because
and you know what their problem is now is when you find one somewhere, the capacitors are usually bad in them. They don't even boot up.
Mine, I've had to replace the drive in it multiple times, or get one with another drive.
I remember now that you mentioned that. Yeah.
And then because it'll blow the fuck up, and then I would there's also. It's very particular, but the actual button, I think the on button or the reset button would rust, and it would just be fucked. But you could still kind of get around it. I think you needed to unplug the unit from the back, and then you used the open disc tray to do the thing. And maybe you couldn't swap a disc in a game. I don't think if there was any game.
There was something weird with the buttons, and it was like on that it was very thin too on the front when you take them apart. So it's like it was like layered together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have, there's, over the years of going to flea market and buying stupid shit and reselling stupid shit, you start figuring out what's your, Wii's are very fucking reliable to be disc drive systems. I've came across a couple of Wii's where the CD drive would be fucked up, and I've swapped out a couple of them. But they're fairly reliable. They're robust.
Are those mini disc, or no?
No, they're regular disc. They'll take a mini disc because they'll play GameCube games. Which they got rid of the GameCube adapters in the later versions.
So I'd assume that original one is probably considerably more valuable.
Yeah, for what it is, it's about the same. Now they did release the one that opened up. Do you remember the red and black one that had like a disc tray that opened straight up?
I don't remember.
They did that one later on, and its policy it wouldn't play GameCube games either. I don't think. It might have. I don't remember even if the ones that didn't have the GameCube adapters played GameCube games and just didn't have the ports, or if they did. I just always stayed away from them when I was doing stuff because it's like, who gives a shit. They're pretty robust. Old school Xbox is like 9 times out of 10 they won't fucking. The capacitor, it's like Game Gears. If you find a fucking Game Gear, it's almost guaranteed not to work because there's like 15 capacitors in it you need to replace. And I know somebody that's done them before, but it's like at the end of the day you got a goddamn Game Gear. Who gives a shit? They're really bad. The old school original Xbox 360s are. Every once in a while, I come across one that still works. The Fats, the white ones.
Yeah, it probably wasn't played on much. Honestly.
Probably not.
I only know one person who specifically had one. They said it still worked, but I'm like, still, it's like, yeah, but did you put like 20 hours a week at it?
Yeah, did you play a fucking shit at it?
Most people, that was their damn system. They played the fuck out of it. But I don't know. I played through. I've had every Sony console. I haven't had a 5 yet. Still might get one, but had a decent amount of fun with PSP. It has ghosting. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah,
it's a decent amount of ghosting for what it was. Never mind, when I first got it, I thought that you needed to open out the little thing to get the disc out, and so I almost fucked it up. Whatever game I got for it. Of course, that the Vita. I bought that Vita and didn't even own. That's what that looks like. I'd never seen that before.
It was way late. They were still selling them when the fucking Wii U was like basically collapsing. You could still find them in stores.
Yeah.
I don't even know if my PSP actually plays disc because I've never actually put a disc in it. I just soft modded it as soon as I got it. And you could fucking just upload it to this. It's like, who knows if it fucking runs a disc
I'm assuming right now is like, do not even log on with my Vita. If I was to ever actually really try to run some Vita shit, it would just try to get that so-mentioned into hacking territory. Because it's forgotten. It's fucking forgotten. And I had thought about getting... I was real close to getting one of those, basically, it's called PSTV, play Vita on the damn console. I was always like, well, they'll just add Vita to, PS4, PS5. Nope. No, they didn't do that shit. But the big game there would have been Persona 4 Golden, but you can get that on Steam now. So a lot of that Vita stuff ended up on Steam. So the Neptuna games, I'm trying to think of anything that's really stuck on there. I don't know off the top of my head. There's a couple of Japanese pervert games that are stuck on there, but most of the shit was just hell, it was the pervert station, because when Sony gave up and there's no one buying, there was 10 million people who owned one. A lot of people in Japan.
Somebody was going to do something with it.
Yeah, and so you would get your low budget games, and then how you say your low budget games? You put anime titties in them.
Yep.
And so that became the pervert station, and freaking Sony's like, they want to know, they want to acknowledge it.
You're like, God damn it, they beta taped our ass again. They're fucking portos.
It's just, I ended up enjoying the Vita for stuff like that later on. I got it to play literally because I was knowing for certain that Final Fantasy Type 0 was on PSP in Japan. I was like, there's no way that they're not going to bring that over to Vita when Vita comes out. Nope. Went straight to PS4. It was just the story of a lot of things. We're gonna, we're winning on this PS4. Xbox dropped the ball. We're gonna go all in on PS4.
Run like fucking hell.
Yeah,
with it.
and then
make some money.
And then it ended up doing really good with it. And hell, it still might outsell PS2 in the long run.
Possibly.
Because it ain't like these new games these new PS5 games ain't like they ain't actually on PS4.
It ain't like you can't just go buy them on PS4.
Yeah, you could get a PS4 probably a hell of a lot better than PS5, and probably way into next year. So it's like, oh, when you plan to play, you've heard about Ghost of Tsushima? Well, you better get your PS4 now. You ain't playing that shit fucking PS5 enhanced. Fuck you. You don't get nothing. It's like, and so
you buy it when you find the console.
Yep. So I could see it actually maybe outdoing, because I think you have to do 150 million to outdo it, and they're over 100. So, but you sell the most. You're going to sell a hell of a lot of console when you drop that so much down to if you can get it down to $100, if that's possible.
If you can get that, it's like when the PlayStation 1 when it hit that $99 price mark. It's like that's when I finally ended up buying one. It's like fucking $100, and I bought it for Street Fighter. I had Street Fighter Alpha 3 on it.
Final Fantasies on there. I remember Final Fantasies is
Yep. I mean, it was like $100 damn. It's like at that point, it's like. I think that's what that Wii Mini was when they finally dropped it. I think it was like $99, and it was like that you could still. I remember seeing it in stores right next to the Wii U, and it was like, I bet you they sell more of those than they do that Wii U.
That greatest hits on PlayStation 1 was so, I think, important, especially if you went to Walmart and then your N64 game is like $90 damn dollars.
$90 goddamn $79.99.
Your Nintendo version was $50, and the Nintendo first party, and then fuck over the third party guys, and then all of your sports and all of that shit, your Maddens and stuff, and your greatest hits, your racing games, freaking Castlevania, Tekken 2. They took forever to put Tekken 3 on greatest hits. I remember
it was $19.99, wasn't
it? Yeah, that would be the price.
Yeah,
and it's like $20 to get the game, and no, it did not look necessarily as good as the N64 version of the whatever, if there was a port, but and it would have a load time, but it was just
$20 goddamn
$20, and it just was hot. And it's funny, you don't see that kind of move from them. Well, I mean, I guess Game Pass would be the closest thing.
Yeah, that'd be the closest thing now.
But just having a cheap, once you get the greatest hits, get that so much out there. I'm surprised that they got rid of that. Honestly,
they did it for a minute on PS2. Even you remember when they started having the red labels?
There was red labels, yeah.
But it wasn't as there was a shit ton of them on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, and the thing was, this wasn't necessary. It said it was a guaranteed million seller, so you knew that people liked it. It wasn't
crap.
Shit.
It was actually, you knew it was something decent.
Yeah. And right now your new consoles are in the. I've seen a couple of games that are already down to $20. I'm like, yeah, this is probably shit fest, but most of them were just expensive, and so we'll see. We'll see how the PS5 does. I know one thing: don't get that motherfucker right now. Just wait.
Wait till it has something to buy on it.
Yeah, that Returnal would be interesting to me. I'm not even big into roguelikes, but if you had the bullet hell blasty shit, would be what I look. It almost look like MDK. You remember MDK 2?
Yep, MDK 2.
Almost has like that. I'm sure it's not as brutally unfair, but $70 for a game that's probably like 10 hours or some shit.
MDK 2's thing was it ran like glass also.
Yeah, but we had it on Dreamcast, and so I
had it on PC.
It.
It came. You remember back when you'd buy a video card, it'd come with some shit. It might have been the Sound Blaster I bought. I bought one of the Sound Blaster like live audit. I mean, it might have been the Audigy I bought, but it came with like MDK2. It is like it ran like fucking butter on that thing. It was so smooth, but it sounded great also. And I kind of miss it when video cards used to give you a game.
Some of them still do, or they'll give you a little voucher. Not EVGA though. They knew they had my ass. I ain't getting no free shit.
It's like you should pay us for every goddamn thing in the future you buy.
It was $680. Some of that's the after the start of 2021, you had the Trump tariffs kick in.
Yep.
There was already starting to be a little bit of markup, but I think that was also like the super duper of the 3070. So if you get a Strix, like an Asus Strix, like the toppest dum of the line, if you get like a 70, you're paying almost what an 80 would cost.
Yeah.
It's like I'm real not happy with the way Sony themselves are handling their shit right now. They don't seem to give a fuck about the Japanese games, which I normally got on, and I've done multiple videos where I've bitched about it, and I showed out all of my damn games. And the only game I got that's like a Western type game for PlayStation 4 was literally Horizon Zero Dawn. Because that was really special when I seen that. A great game, man. You should play that one day. But that's where we are, Kitty. And they'll have those things, those big launches, and they'll delay them some bitches twice or 3 times. But they at least know that they need to hit that damn. It needs to be ready. Mark. It needs to be. There's not going to be a cyber. Well, I'm saying I'm talking shit. There's not going to be a cyberpunk situation for them. They ain't that dumb.
I think a lot of companies are going to be more paranoid about that, which they need to be. It's like, why should we freaking be getting beta games like day one releases? And it's like. A lot of them do it and they would let it slide because it'd be like, it's like there's always going to be bugs in the first couple of days. It's like, why? Get that shit fixed. Get it playable.
There's too many people who, I guess their identity is in the games they're buying, the latest game they're buying, and they're going to defend that shit because it's like almost an attack to them. It's like, no, you paid the money for the game. You paid $70 to have a working fucking game, and you're just like, oh, it's okay. How about fuck no? It's not
okay. No, how about I wait till it's in the bargain bin and the patch is out for it?
Yeah, and then fucking just turn your nose up to it. Oh, you're old now. Fuck you. It's not okay. Cyberpunk is not okay. And people should be pissed off. And you're like, oh, it's fucking nonchalant about it. It's like, really? Because you were hyped enough to pre-order that motherfucker months in advance. Yep. Pay full down and down. You're clearly excited about it. Oh, I don't care. Like, yeah, bullshit.
It'll be all right, man. Let them get it patched up.
Yeah, let them fucking actually bring it out, even though they've already charged you for that shit. 8 million people pre-ordered that stuff. 8 million people got fucked over. Well, there might be 2 million that had a pretty good experience on PC because they had a PC that could run it, and they had a minimum amount of crashes.
Yeah.
Everybody bought it on a console. You got fucked. That's just how it is. But whatever.